Matt's finally figured it out.
Matt Lyons, can you hear?
I think he can.
He's muted.
Hello.
There you go.
I can hear.
Matt, you at work, man?
Yeah, sure am.
Fuck.
Some of us do.
Matt, you want to give us a tour of your place?
Yeah. So this is my my pizza box warehouse.
Wow.
This it continues over here. Just thousands and thousands of pizza boxes. This is our new delivery bag station right in the middle of the dining room. This is a new freezer for our frozen pizza game.
Is this guy Tribute?
Yeah,
he's Tribute.
Oh, yeah. I know this dude. Well, I know
It's
his
Danny from Angelo's saying hello, Matt.
Hey,
Hey,
Matt.
how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, we're it's the middle of the day. It's 4 o'clock. It's our lull, but we got a couple pizzas coming in. I don't want to touch anything. I gotta wash my hands, but got a line. Got our beautiful Verado wood-fired oven. We're cooking right now. We added chow mein on our menus. We're cooking Chinese food because why the hell not? Yeah.
Are you cooking Chinese every week?
We're cooking Chinese every day. Yep. Just like Daniel, we got the S-Mock here as well. Got the badass S-Mock.
Oh yeah.
180 here. 3 bags of flour. Yep. Bianca di Napoli. All day. I don't know. It's a pizza restaurant. You guys are familiar.
Matt, do you want to give an intro to yourself? Do you want to?
I would. No.
You don't want to at all.
I do not want to talk about myself.
All right. I'm going to tell everybody you are based in San Diego.
Yes.
You have Tribute Pizzeria. You can see from the Bianco di Napoli on the wall that it's a tribute to Chris Bianco and basically every other pizza legend that you like. Every pizza is an homage, basically, to another famous pizza maker.
Correct.
Classics. But it's always got its own tribute spin. How did you start? So I know you're popping up. You worked in Kenya.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
How long was that?
I have no idea. I was in Kenya for a total almost a year.
A year. And then you came back. You did some in LA too, right? I think I met you in LA.
Yeah, I think it was just eating, Lance, but I don't know. No, I started making pizza when I was 15. I was delivering pizza on my skateboard, the neighborhood slice joint. I would go there every day, slice salad and a Coke for $3.99 plus tax, $4.31, and I asked them for a job, and they gave me one, and I didn't have my driver's license, so they let me deliver on my skateboard, and kind of realized that wasn't a long-term sustainable career. So I asked them to teach me how to cook, and I've been doing it ever since.
Do you want to? I'm going to get Keith in now.
Yeah, let's get. Hell yeah, I love Keith.
I feel like I'm the #1 Keith Freilich fan in the world, but I think there's a lot of people on this feed. Yeah, I'm sure
I'll fight you.
Keith, so you are the one-man show, one-man pop-ups, but I don't know of many one-man brick and mortar places. Is there another one that you know of?
Sephora used to be.
Right. It currently is not, I would say. But you make, I don't know, it could be the best pizza in California. I'm always blown away by it. And your story, you had worked in Brooklyn at a place, and then you came out to California to do IT stuff, and then you fell back into pizza. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Some technology stuff. Hola,
¿cómo estás?
Can you guys hear Keith?
Yes.
Okay.
We can even see
Um,
you.
Okay, I see him
For
now.
my place,
So,
Keith, maybe if you could move a little closer to the microphone, that might help. I know. That's better. Oh, the view is good too.
so I think Noel, you made up the tagline for this segment, which was "Too small to fail." Keith's a one-man operation. I'm interested. How has your business been affected in the last couple of weeks? Like, what's like you? Is it any different? Is it better? Is it? What's it like?
mine.
Yes.
I'd say I'm doing slightly more business than I was before, because that's my capacity of it, basically. I get a lot more people want the pieces, but I can only make so many. So kind of a for me this weekend. I've been working on trying to make the ordering process work better when a lot of people are trying to order at the same time. It's been a bit more stressful, but in terms of volume, it hasn't changed much.
Have you figured out the ordering process? Because I feel like over the years it's changed some, but it's still mostly just a telephone based. So you don't touch the apps that are taking all the percentage away. And
Right. Yes. When I opened, I had a telephone that wasn't connected, and people lined up, and I hated that. But so there, I started taking the phone orders, and that's been the primary way of ordering for, basically. A few years ago, I created a page on our website where you could request that I call you instead of you call me, and that has taken over, particularly in the last couple of months. So now almost every order in the semi-online ordering process where put their name down and I tell them the orders. And it works well, but like I said, since the shelter-in-place order, at 9 o'clock in the morning when it opens up, there's like 10 people trying to get the same 5 o'clock pizza time, and it doesn't work super well under those circumstances. So I'm trying to fix that today, basically.
you've got two tables, right? It's two only that obviously aren't working right now, but
Well, depends on how you define table. I have two physical tables, but one effective table. They're
okay.
pushed together to form one table.
And what's your capacity for a night? Like, how many pizzas can you put out a night?
Like 25 to 30.
And
My dining room tour. This is the back of the dining room. That's the front of the dining room, and there's a door. That's
awesome.
That's the table. It's underneath some pizza boxes now. But I use that as a counter now to keep people from getting too close to me in the 6 feet distancing thing. And this is my one decoration. Which, Matt, are you out there? You recognize
I am
that?
here. Yeah, I'm here.
You recognize that?
I sure do. Emilia's Cucina.
Yeah.
Your one decoration. Oh, no, there's a picture of Frank Sinatra, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. You're right. That's up there.
Fuck yeah.
So, two decorations. So,
Keith, can you show the rest of the kitchen since you're doing it?
there it is in all its glory. I'm wired here. I can't move around that much. We got it's an old Wolf Pizza Grande oven. There's probably about 3 of them left in the world. Little prep table. Sink over there somewhere. So Matt, your mom found this clock at a garage sale, right?
Yeah, she found it at a garage sale, and she said, "Hey, you should go give that to your pizza friend up in Berkeley." I said, "Yeah, I bet he would like that." Yep.
Yeah, people ask me about it all the time. I don't really know what the story behind it is. It says world's greatest grandkids on it. It's like then the grandkids sold at a garage sale. So
It looks like something you would grab at a TJ Maxx, maybe.
Yeah, it's like fake old, weather. But I don't know why I would say world's greatest grandkid.
What's the pizzeria named after? What's the name from?
Emilia is my daughter. She's 14. I left the house an hour ago, and as far as I know, she was still asleep.
Okay.
14 whatever. California, 4 something, so she's still 3.
So let me ask you, so what, you are the smallest operation. Like, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of being a one-person shop? And I imagine it's changed a bunch in the last week, but in general.
So my normal answer would probably be that my job is to make pizza and not much of anything else. I don't have to manage people, do scheduling, all that kind of crud. So I just get to make pizza all day. But lately, the upside is that I don't have employees that I had to lay off. I don't have to worry about it because I'm the only one here. So right now, I'm pretty well situated for the current times.
Right. And I mean, if you could start over now, like what's the one thing you'd change about Emilia's if like knowing what you've learned in the last, how long you been open? Like 8 years or longer?
10 and a half, something like that.
10 and a half, okay.
I don't really think looking back that there is anything too significant that I would do differently. Someday I would love to sell beer and wine somehow, somewhere, because that's where the money is, I'm told. Otherwise, I would maybe try to trademark orange and white for those lawsuits against everybody else that's opened in the last 10 years. But other than that, gone pretty well. Can't complain.
So what's a day like for you? Like how many hours are you putting in to make those 25, 30 pizzas a night?
10 a.m. to midnight on the 4 days that I'm open, and then a few hours each on Monday and Tuesday doing shopping or prepping. And I try not to work on Sundays at all, but that doesn't usually work, but I try not to.
Is this, I mean, to people who might in the future be looking to downsize, is that something you'd recommend? Is this work for you, or do you feel like there should be more folks thinking less about, oh, there's a bigger paycheck if you get beer and wine and stuff? What do you think?
If you already have a restaurant, doing this is probably very different from whatever you're doing already. And I don't know that at my age I would start again, because it's very demanding physically, and I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to do everything by myself. And that's all the dough mixing and being on my feet for 14 hours a day. I don't heal. My nagging injuries nag me longer than they used to. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I used to be able to make 30 to 35 pizzas a night instead of 25 to 30. So I think more about, should I ever upsize than I would think about suggesting somebody else downsize, I guess. But if you're just entering the business, and it's kind of still sort of an idealized way of doing the good part of pizza making, which is the pizza making, versus having to deal with all the other stuff. I still have tons of other stuff I have to deal with that most people don't, like I do my own taxes, kind of crap. But as far as what's my job? I make pizzas. I don't run a restaurant. I make pizzas.
So you've worked at other restaurants. Do you think you're making more, is it, being one person, is it more consistent with just you, or do you feel like because you have to do everything, it's different?
Yeah, It's much easier to be consistent doing everything yourself. When I opened, I didn't expect it to be a one-person shop, and I had all these plans on sort of codifying how to make the pizza so that they all came out the same, but that doesn't really work that well in practice, I don't think, because there's too many things that change outside of your control for everything to be set in stone that you do. You have to make adjustments when your changes or when your basil changes or whatever. So if you're not doing it yourself, then you have to rely on other people to be in sync with you and make the same adjustments that you can make, and that's kind of cool. You can get around bigger, fancier places that have like proofer retarders and things like that. They don't have to, well, you know, they don't have to think, what's the weather going to be like 2 days from now when you're making their dough. But yeah, so all by myself I think is definitely easier to be consistent, but it also gives me the chance to fiddle around and tweak things and stuff because I'm hands-on all the time. So I'm probably not as consistent as I thought I would want to be at the beginning. Now I still like to play around, and I have customers. You know, my customer base is overwhelmingly repeat business. People that come in every Thursday. I'd like to be able to tweak things just a little, just slightly, so that they don't notice that it's different, but that it keeps it, you know, interesting in there to them without them realizing it.
But you're not going to start putting. I know you make pan pizza. I've seen it happen. That's not going to go on the menu anytime soon. You're going to keep it.
I spent probably 6 years being like, this is something I'm going to do someday. Or anyway, but now I pretty much decided, no, not until if I get a bigger place someday or something. But I'm not going to do that here. It's too, you know, too much of a separate process to do in one space. Certainly not the same day, and I don't have time to open up any more days. So.
Hey, Matt Lyons.
Hello.
Do you have since you're the #1 Keith fan, so you say, what were you going to ask him?
I mean, you're not going to introduce pan pizza, but what do you think about chow mein? It really does wonders for your pizza margins.
You know, the decorations that were in here when I got this place were all Chinese decorations. So I think I missed my shot at that. I should have done that. Should have been Chinese.
I guess maybe the question that you know, I did when I first met you and when I first went into the shop, you know, I did a little pro forma. I think you were doing I figured you were doing the number that you said, like 30, 35 pizzas a night, right? You had 2 pizzas every 15 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. That's that.
Yep. And I was like thinking about it and like running the numbers, like guessing, you know, the square footage of the shop was listed in Adam Kuban's Slice article, and you know, I figured out, you know, I did a little calculation on your electricity bill or your gas bill on that oven that bakes so goddamn hot and X, Y, and Z, and besides but maybe something that people are wondering is besides kind of like your creative control, is it a good job? Besides working for yourself, besides being able to tweak your recipes, and besides like the actual pizza making component, is it a good business that other guys should consider? You know, I'm not even talking about people who are thinking about scaling up or downsizing or whatever based on the current situation. I mean, like someone who's currently has a pop-up, and it's like, you know what? Does it make financial sense to, if of course there are a lot of variables, but for you, is it a hobby or is it a job?
Job. It's not both financially rewarding job I ever had. But kind of like what Danny said earlier, I don't have to work for anybody else. And I get to do something that I actually enjoy doing. So, like better. But, you know, the hours are too long. Pay's too low, but other than that, sure.
Cool. I mean, I think that's what I think people would be excited to hear that. That's all I got, Lance.
Matt, what's your reason for having Chinese food? Where did that come from?
You know, we had been doing something, you know, for the last 2 years. There's a farmer's market that's like a block and a half away from the restaurant every Thursday, and we drive our menu based on the produce from a couple of particular farms that we see every Thursday, and we wanted to, you know, there's certain things that you might see at the market that are gorgeous and you wouldn't know what to do with them. You know, whether it's kohlrabi or different things. So we started a program every Thursdays for the farmers market that was kind of like an Iron Chef challenge for ourselves of making a 3-course menu with all the produce from the farmers market and not really knowing what we were doing not really having a plan. And we realized that that's really challenging because, like, if it was Iron Chef, you have to make, you know, 3 dishes for 3 judges. You have to make, you know, nine plates. But for the restaurant setting, you know, we'd have to make, you know, 20 or 30 of these desserts and 20 or 30 of these entrees. And the farmers market opened at 3, and we were open at 4. And it was like, man, it was really stressful. So we kind of evolved the program into like where we would have a plan going into it, but then we would still go buy all the produce and prep it on the fly for this program, which we called the Tribute Market Menu. And we kind of realized that having a format meant that, like, having a theme, having, you know, some like at least a loose plan going into it made it go better, and it was easier to market and to communicate to our guests. And if we did, for example, Chinese food for an entire month, we got really good at making Chinese food. So for the month of January, we were making Chinese food every Thursday, and we were really enthusiastic about it. It was so much fun. Having a walk and still cooking with these beautiful ingredients and everything. And like, now that I don't have to print a menu and I'm not relying on my service staff to, like, sell these specials, like that same question, why do you have Chinese food at a pizza restaurant, X, Y, and Z? Now it's just an item on the website, and you can order it or you can't. And we sell a pretty fair amount of Chinese. Just in the last week, we've kind of brought back this this farmers market vegetable chow mein that we were doing. That we did one Thursday in January, and we love cooking it. And we just brought it back because not only is our pizza line getting crushed pretty regularly, where, you know, anytime that we can get somebody to order an entree or, you know, a salad or something rather than just an extra pizza, it helps us with our ticket times and our efficiency, and also it's super fun. And we do it well, and it feels unusual, but it's also an outlet for creativity because it's a different universe, and we're not cooking the Thursday market thing anymore. So we're just trying to see what it is we can cook and what we can get away with, and try to have fun, even though it's kind of a shitty universe at the moment.
Hey, Matt, what was the hardest part about pivoting to, you know, the curbside, and what's like a lesson that you've learned that, you know, when everybody opens up again, what are you gonna, you know, carry forward?
Oh, you know, I don't know what the hardest part of pivoting. I mean, the hardest part has been emotional, right? we're, you know, we've got 130 seats in this dining room, and right now it's just a big ass box storage, and I've got like an office in the booths, and you know, I've got like an entire, like my bar area is like the deep clean area where the tables are pushed against the windows, and we're just like breaking down a fridge at a time and just deep cleaning the shit out of it, like trying to make it brand new, and doing compressors and everything, and like taking out all the drawers and doing all this stuff with toothbrushes, and you know, the hardest part for me is that the not seeing the people who we make happy, right? Because like Keith, you know, the 14-hour days or 16-hour, whatever it is, like what you put into it is what you get out of it, and kind of the bow or the cherry on top of working those stupid long hours is seeing all the people that you make happy, seeing the people in the dining room, you know, just unbelievably happy or irrationally stoked to be in this place that makes them feel this particular way, eating this food that makes them feel a particular way, and ostensibly, you know, most people are deliriously happy. And so the hardest part for pivoting has been none of that. It's gone. And, you know, you get people, you know, who are sharing that, you know, that they're happy or they enjoy their meal on social media or whatever, but it's not the same as that dining room that's just, you know, just full of people and emotion and excitement. So that's been the hardest part for me, for sure, and I'm sure that's going around.
I think so. What about with employees? Like, I know your biggest issue has always been, you know, finding and keeping employees. Like, can you even tell like how that's going to change going forward, or like how did you find employees in the first place? A great employee seems really hard to get.
Yeah, you know, before I opened the restaurant, you know, I was a general manager of another company, and employment in California was easy. You know, there was 7% unemployment, and you would put a job up for a bartender or a server or a dishwasher or whatever, and you'd get 700 applicants of varying degrees of skill and competency, and you kind of had your choice of who it was that you would get. And in the time that I kind of started the process of starting the company and doing the pop-up and X, Y, and Z, like one-man show, kind of like Keith, but smaller and mobile and whatever, the dynamic changed into, you know, 1.5 or 2% unemployment, and it was so challenging to find valuable employees who would show up who didn't think that they learned all there was to learn in a month, and they went on to their next gig, or they would no show no call because another place offered them 25 cents more an hour, or whatever it was. And I think the real thing that occurs to me is that before, I've got a couple of guys who've been with me since day one, and a couple other guys who I'm going on 4 years now, and a couple other guys who are, you know, who didn't start on day one, but been here for multiples of years. And I think a lot of it is that right when we started, hiring was my one job. Before we, right, for 2 weeks, you know, a month before we opened, my one single solitary job was to fill out a staff, to conduct interviews, to find good people. And after opening, it became such a subordinate job, even though to payroll or just trying to make the people in the dining room happy or whatever it was. But it's still, I think, clearly like the most important job of any owner. Maybe not Keith, not for now, but soon maybe, is to really treat the personnel as a full-time job. Not only acquiring them, but maintaining them and keeping them happy. And how do I think that's going to change? I mean, I think that there's probably a fair number of restaurants that have closed that are not going to open again, and you know where it's kind of like challenging to be you know to come across as celebrating a larger talent pool, right? Like that nobody wants 30% unemployment. Nobody wants, you know, all these people desperate and out of jobs and struggling, right? And right, that's kind of like a piece of cognitive dissonance for me that, you know, 7% unemployment was easy to find good people, and 1% unemployment was extraordinarily difficult to find good people. And when you have many multiples of 7% unemployment, it's totally fucked. So I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna play out. I'm you know, we also need people employed so that they can afford to eat. So I think the answer is to be determined. But you know, I don't think it's a good time necessarily to start a restaurant right now. But if anybody out there was considering it, you probably have the best quality of applicants that you might have had in a long time.
Keith, how do you keep your employees happy?
I'm not sure that I do. A very particular. What's that?
I was gonna ask you both because I think there's a lot of pros on here, and I think there's some fans like me, and my questions I always want to know from folks are like, what are your favorite pizzerias, and like, more importantly, what are the unheralded ones that people haven't found yet that inspire you? Is there one that comes to mind?
I don't know that any person that I know hasn't found it. Seems like as far as favorites, my favorites usually have to do with my connection to the place, and not necessarily pizza, but I would say Always. I used to work there. Installation the first time better by far than virtually any other point. The other one I think is Pizzeria Bianco. I use it very often, considering that I didn't go near there, and that was in between my the tech business, and just seeing what a great piece that was. Probably had something to do with the fact that I'm back in the pizza business now. What about you, Matt?
I mean, Bianco, of course. You know, I don't want to be a fanboy, but Emilia's. I think I like Lance said. I think it's the best pizza in California, which makes it a strong contender for best in America. I don't know. Unheralded is hard, right? Caleb at the Pizza Coletta is heralded. He's smaller, there's so many options. I don't even you know what I fucking love? Adam was on earlier. There were some questions about the pizza cognition theory, and the one of the pizzas that I grew up on is called Regents in La Jolla, and that's just I used to work there, so obviously that's my Grimaldi's, but it's just good people who care and do good work and make good pizza, and that's as much as you can ask for, I think.
So for people who make pizza at home, which again, I think there's a lot of people on here who do that, including myself. I want to know, like, what's the one thing I should be focusing on that can make the biggest difference? Is it an ingredient change, a recipe change? Like, what's the one aspect that can, give you the biggest boost from the smallest change?
Keith, you wanna take that? I got one.
Well, yeah. I don't know how far along you are in your development as a pizza maker, Lance, but I think for most pizza makers starting out, the first thing, it's not quite an ingredient, but it's time. You have to learn to give your dough the time that it needs at the various stages, and throw away all the recipes that are like, mix some stuff together and 2 hours later make a pizza, because you're shooting yourself in the foot trying to do it that fast, generally speaking. So time, that's my answer.
Man, Lyons.
I would agree with that. I think time is perhaps the most important ingredient, and there's something that a lot of home pizza makers are always trying to replicate the environment of a commercial pizza oven or a wood-fired oven even. And one thing that occurs to me is that the baking steel or the stone or whatever it is, preheating it, you want it as hot as possible, right? And you want it at, your convection oven or whatever your residential oven only gets to 500 or maybe 550. So you're maxed at that. But so many, right, a lot of people are selling make pizza at home kits. And all the instructions are, right? Like, preheat a cast iron skillet, or if you've got it, a piece of steel or a stone in the oven as high as it goes for an hour and a half, or 2 hours, whatever. But that, to me, feels so inefficient when you've got a burner. So the thing that we're working on the frozen pizzas here, and I'm trying to come up with something that's more efficient. So you don't have to preheat for an hour, because time is an ingredient. But so many people, if you're even just trying to crisp up a pizza that you took home and you were smart and asked for it to not be sliced, you're not going to spend the time to preheat your oven. Your stone for an hour and a half. Your pizza's dying, even if you were planning to eat it later. So the thing that I do is that's a fryer. The thing that I do is I just take the baking steel and I just preheat it on my range. So this is a French top, so it doesn't have a burner. But I just take it and I preheat the steel directly over the burner, and then put it right in the oven. And then if I was at home, I'd pop the broiler on, and it takes my preheat time from an hour and a half down to 10 minutes. And that makes it a lot more readily available to get your pizza at home, as hot as Keith's oven or as hot as my oven. Because it'll go hotter, because preheating with air at 550 is really inefficient compared to preheating with direct heat directly over the flame.
That's pretty good. I haven't heard that before.
You got to get a good kitchen towel, because you burn the shit out of your fingers like I just did, but it's fine because it's worth it.
So I mentioned earlier, so all your pizzas are tributes, homages, but you have tons of specials. You're currently doing like a special a day, right? Like a completely new pizza a day.
Yep. Yeah, we are. We're doing. It used to be actually when we started off, it was the daily tribute, and then we were printed, right. We didn't have like a special for it, right? Like we're a sit down pizza restaurant with printed menus, and printing menus every day sucked. And then when we tried to make it be like, oh, ask your server, they would never explain it as articulately or as well as, and people would be like, oh, I'll get the whatever, right? But now that in the same way that chow mein is just an option on our online menu, the special, I don't have to go. I'm not going on Photoshop or InDesign. I'm not dealing with my fucking printer jamming, right? Like, case. I'm not dealing with anything. So, except the pizza, right? That's kind of my it's kind of my Emilia's thing. It's every day I get to come and design a pizza, because the method for communication is just social media and updating it on my online ordering platform, which we keep in house. So it's in the same way that we're not doing our Thursday farmers market menu. We're still trying to stay creative and stay innovative and still have something to look forward to coming to work. So designing a new pizza every day and just putting it on the internet and going with it has been something that's been really valuable for me.
What's like something you've learned from doing so many of these specials that other people can, if somebody wants to sort of create their own, special and invent something new, like what's a hint that you can give them that you've learned?
I don't know. I mean, look at what that's what tribute is, right? Look at what Lee Hunsinger's doing. Look at any of these. Look at a pizza. Be inspired by anybody else, and don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to. I mean, we don't put it on our menu until it goes through, a couple of iterations, and just have fun with it. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of risk about putting something, even if it's not intuitively pizza stuff, just, man, those flavors go well together with rice, or those flavors, like I love my chicken seasoned this way with this thing, like, just give it a shot. And, I don't know. We clearly have some criteria and some limitations about what can go on and what can't go on, but we're not hard and fast with any of it. We're just trying to make it fun and make it happy. So I guess the advice that I have for anybody who wants to be more creative or innovative with their menu is to just cook and see what makes you happy and give it a shot, and maybe you'll be surprised by what things your customers latch onto.
Your pizza's great, but I'm just as impressed with the social media, with the copy on the menu and stuff. How much time do you devote to that stuff? And as your business has been growing like year after year, how much of it do you attribute to that, as opposed to, is it enough to just make great pizza, or do you need to do fun social posts? Like what?
I don't know. I mean, I don't post anything unless I mean it, and I don't. I know a lot of people have, like if you paid a company or something, you'd pay for 2 posts a day, or a post a day or whatever. But you got to get it on schedule, and you have to you hire the photographer, and then you write some copy, and then they edit it or whatever. And like I think that Chris is at Pizzeria Bianco, and I'm at Tribute Pizza. I think it's really important for it to be a human. Chris posts as many pictures of his kids and of his dad's art, and actually, of his employees as he does the pizza, because we're nothing if not people. And I think people care a lot more about the human element than they care about the hydration of the dough or whatever. So I don't spend a whole lot of time on it. I'll only really look to it when there's something that is like I won't force a post. It's like if there's content, right? If we've come up with something that is fun or worth sharing, I'll make a post about it. But it's generally organic, and that's why sometimes I'll only post twice a week, because either I was too busy, or there was nothing that seemed super relevant.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? Was that it? Was that?
I would say I would give it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good.
6 out of 10. I mean, is there anything you want me to expand on?
I wish I had an example for your menu where I feel like it's not like it's not a joke menu. It's very obviously passionate and real, but there's a lot of really funny things in it. I'm wondering if you think that helps. Like is that just add to the flavor of the restaurant? Is that sort of the atmosphere, or what?
The thing that I would say is that I can't help it. You know, the Thursday market things, or we do pasta on Sundays from scratch, and we do now it's the daily tribute, or it used to be the weekly tribute, or whatever it was. That oftentimes I would feel like what have I got myself into? Like, fuck, I gotta come up with another pizza right now. Like, I got nothing, or like, oh man. You know, what are we cooking for the farmers market? You know, it's the middle of March, and you know, it's in between seasons, and it's like, what am I gonna fucking do with all this citrus and apples? Like, there's between seasons, and nothing's inspiring me. Like, what am I? And I can so easily get myself into a pickle, or get, you know, stressed out or whatever. Like, why do I keep adding more projects or adding more programs or something? And it's the same thing with the menu, is that I can't help it. I can't help but be myself, and I can't help but like try to, you know, fucking the copy editing or the graphic design of the menu is, you know, one of my least favorite things to do. But it's the voice of the restaurant. Like, the social media is my voice. It's who I am. And you know,
it's the same way that if you look at Keith's social media, it's very much like the voice of his restaurant too.
Yes.
I think it really works.
Right. So I think that's
My social media?
Yeah. I mean, however intermittent
My lack of social media?
Yeah, but when it pops up, it's some strange fun something, you know. Your website's great too. Let me ask you one more question.
All the stuff that
Go on.
I think my audio is delayed now.
Okay, well, last question for both of you guys. Who knows where things are going, but in terms of pizza trends, I'm always interested in what you guys think is coming next, where it was New York, and then it was Neapolitan, and then it was Detroit's going to do it, and then it became, no, it's pan pizza. Is there another thing that you think is coming? Is there another thing that you're interested in? Another style?
Keith, looking at you here, bud.
I don't know, buddy. I'm not aware of, I haven't seen anything that seems up and coming to me. I've been working on something that's going to take the world by storm, sure. But other than that, I don't know.
What about you, Matt Lyons?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I love fucking different crusts, and it's something that I've been, you know, I first encountered it at Frank Pinello's spot at Best Pizza in Brooklyn, and had the sesame seed crust with the caramelized onions and the ricotta, and I was like, holy shit, why has this never occurred to me? And I think Lyons has, you know, a pizza with the everything bagel crust with sesame seed and poppy seed and garlic and onion and salt, and I was like, fuck, that's even better than the sesame seed. And we've kind of gone like, okay, that's something that, you know, I don't know if it's the next big trend, but it's definitely something that that I've been exploring. You know, it's just, you know, I'm always so frustrated or disappointed, or like, man, we fucking child when an adult leaves the pile of crust on their plate. It's like, motherfucker, you have any idea how much time went into that? How good that flour is, and how much, right? It's like, you clearly love the bread. Our best-selling appetizer in the restaurant is our wood-fired focaccia, and that is the crust. It's the same thing. It's baked in the oven. It's the right, this this focaccia here is our best-selling appetizer. You know, even though we're in quarantine and shut down and only doing takeaway and delivery, we're still selling, you know, almost 6 dozen a day. And people will order that appetizer and then leave the crust. And it's like, well, this doesn't make any sense to me. So how, you know, but if you put sesame seeds on it or you put everything bagel on the crust, they're gonna fucking eat it and they're gonna love it. So we did a pizza the other day with some jalapeno powder and alderwood smoked sea salt on the crust, and I really enjoy like just the salt and pepper crust, and you know, we just brush a light amount of extra virgin olive oil around the crust, and then so that it adheres, and then sprinkle it on, and whatever, you know, world's your oyster. But you know, you got to be careful. Certain things, you know, garlic will char X, Y, and Z. But you know, we did a garlic bread crust the other day to, you know, parsley and Asiago, whatever, right? Like, it's a kind of a fun thing, you know. I know at Polly G's they're doing pan pizzas with the upside down with the sesame seeds, you know, in the pan, and we appropriated that, paid tribute to it, and it's really fucking good. And
It is great.
It makes everybody happy. And so I don't know if that's a trend or that's a, you know, you were thinking of, you know, a style or something. I don't know what the next style is. You know, I think that people will, you know, a lot of the styles that are like the trends that you mentioned, these are old styles. These are, you know, they're just, you know, having a moment, and they're coming back around. And it's like none of these things were invented in the last decade, in the last year or whatever. They just became popular again because, you know, one of the things that Adam was talking about is the bar pizza that he makes, or the bar pie. I'm not subject to his copyright concerns. That the bar pie, it's supposed to evoke nostalgia, and whatever it is, whether it's Roman pizza or pan pizza, Detroit, whatever, it's like it's evoking what is a pizza that evokes nostalgia. It reminds you of another place and another time, and I don't think that's ever going away. So I don't think that it needs to be a trend, or it needs to be, you know, pizza Freilich or whatever, right? Like there's so much. It's just whatever makes you happy and whatever reminds you of a better time when you're, you know, experiencing a challenging time, I think.
That's how we end. That's a great answer.
Are you better than 6 out of 10?
That was a 9.5.
Oh, thank you.
Very generous.
What do you think, Noel?
For sure, a 9.5.
Don't ever give Lyons the floor.
Hey, what's up, Brian Spangler?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Keith's wearing his shirt, and I can't find my fucking hat because my restaurant, rather than like, I've got a nice little tidy spot for all my shit, the shit's just sprawling over it because there's no dining room and there's just fucking boxes.
Sounds about right. Sounds like a Matt Lyons move, yeah.
There's flour, and then just in the dining room, and right, like, these used to be tables, man. I miss that.
I think the next trend is going to be going back to like parlor style pizza, like as Matt was saying, like bar, parlor, cracker. It's called different things, party cut. And if not that, more probably like calzones and strombolis are going to go off. People are going to be wanting more of that. I think we're kind of reaching the end of the rope here. Detroit became a national sensation. What the fuck?
People like fried cheese. Come on.
I grew up in Detroit, and we just called it pizza.
It didn't really take off. I honestly, it's one
Detroit?
Like, yeah, I mean, I know it popped up, and it's in New York, and it's in different places now, but
It's all over Portland. It's all over everywhere, from what I could see.
who's doing it in Portland?
We've got.
That brewery.
Well, everybody's doing like their variation of it, right? Everybody's using the Detroit pans. They're using the rectangular Lloyd pans. Same size, like 8x10s. 10 by 14s, 4 square, 8 square. And everybody's kind of doing like their own, not adherent. Like, if you want to be adherent, it's like the buddies and, the cloverleaf and all that other stuff, which I would never be. They're just doing their own variations on it, almost like a Sicilian meets Detroit. But people are into the fucking thick crust stuff. It's very popular. So isn't it happening down in Los Angeles?
No, I don't know. I know Noel is obviously doing some pan stuff. But
Apollonia's is a variant of Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah.
Justin would disagree with you. He always says it's LA pizza, but that's
yeah. No, it's his own style. I mean, no. If you want to be adherent, you'd have to, put your pepperoni underneath, underneath the cheese, and then you bake it, and then you put the sauce on after, and all that other garbage. Being adherent to rules. But just the fact that I couldn't give away squares or Sicilians 15 years ago. No one wanted to have anything to do with it on the West Coast. Now I'm just seeing it like blow up, and it's across the country. Everybody's talking about it, especially Angela.
Hey, man. I've just been listening. Here's my bounty today. Hold on, let me make a little video of it.
Oh yeah, can you stack them up? Yeah. Make me a pyramid.
You even see these things?
Curse. What are you drinking? What the fuck is that?
This is Smog City.
What's that?
It's a local brewery down in Torrance. In fact, if you tune in on Thursday at 4 o'clock, you'll see John and Lori, my friends. He's the brewer, and she's the face of the brewery.
All right.
It's mostly Belgian style beer. This is what it's called, Smog City, right here. This is called the Nothing. It's a double chocolate imperial stout. That's what I had for breakfast. And this is called the New Normal, written in Sharpie because it's so new and it's so normal. The size of that can. It's more than 40 ounces, I think.
You got a crowler.
Crowler, exactly.
I respect Keith's choice with the 4 Point Brewery out of San Francisco. That's a good one.
Who is that? Who said that?
Emerson Napoli. Yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff.
Gift from a customer.
Nice.
ED.
I don't know if you guys saw me nibbling on that bread, but my wife, she's from Argentina, and they make something there. It's basically a cheese bread made with tapioca flour, which happens to be gluten-free. So I know none of you, including me, wants to hear that gluten-free is the next big thing, but it's pretty fucking tasty. Tapioca flour.
I'm all for vegan, and I'm all for gluten-free if that's what you want. I'm all for all that stuff.
I just think it tastes good.
That's also the war. That's not the war I want to fight, and it's not what I want to do. But you know what? There's somebody else that'll take that and run with it. And so,
hey, Matthew,
God bless him, because I can eat vegan. I did it for years, but yeah, it's not my war.
Matthew, what you drinking?
California just let us bottle cocktails and sell them to go. So we bought some bottles, made some labels, giant batches of this, and there's a classic cocktail called a Saturn that was the world's best, or I don't know, the California Bartenders Guild best cocktail of 1967, and it's a classic cocktail with passion fruit and orgeat and lemon and velvet falernum and a base of gin. So this is a Europa. It's a tribute to the Saturn with mango and Jamaican Navy strength rum and orgeat and lemon and lime and tangerine and curacao. And it's everybody was drinking, so I figured it was time to start. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good job, everyone.